The Assembly will now hear a statement by His Excellency Ulrich Liencha, Prime Minister of the Republic of Moldova. I request protocol to escort His Excellency. I have great pleasure in welcoming the Prime Minister of the Republic of Moldova, His Excellency Yuri Liencha, and I invite him to address the General Assembly.
Thank you. Mr. Vice President, Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, allow me first of all to congratulate Mr. Jonas of Antigua and Barbuda on his election as President of the UN General Assembly's 68th session and wish him every success in this highly honorable position. I am confident that his diligence and perspicacity will contribute to our efforts to address the challenges of today's world. I would equally like to express appreciation for Mr. Vuk Jeremich's works as President of the 67th session and wish him every further success in his career. My tribute goes to the Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, for his tireless work promoting peace and security, human rights and prosperity in a sustainable global environment, as well as for his efforts to make this organization more transparent and more efficient. Before I present the key points of my speech, I would like to express my condolences to the victims of the senseless attack in Kenya. Mr. President, distinguished delegates, the United Nations is in the midst of enacting a new post-2015 development agenda, which will continue and advance the ambitious commitments laid down in the Millennium Declaration. We welcome the inaugural opening earlier this week of the high-level dialogue on sustainable development as a key step towards the implementation of the Rio +20 outcome document. We expect that the high-level dialogue will enforce and put into action the three pillars of sustainable development: economic prosperity, social equity, and environmental protection, with a firm commitment of the Member States to deliver on those priority areas. We recall the huge effort it took for this organization to agree last year in Rio on the wide-ranging framework for a world working cooperatively towards a sustainable future, and we are hopeful that this effort will yield its results sooner rather than later. Monsieur le Président, pour la République de Moldova, le développement durable est la seule voie d'assurer une vie décente pour la population. Il s'ensuit que nous devons assurer le développement économique et résoudre les problèmes de sécurité énergétique et en même temps rendre écologiquement sain l'environnement. C'est à cet égard que mon gouvernement œuvre assidûment en partenariat avec les parties prenantes internationales, en particulier avec l'Union européenne, qui servent comme point de référence pour nos politiques nationales. Nous sommes convaincus que la volonté politique, l'assistance mutuelle et la transparence sur toutes les questions importantes peuvent apporter des changements positifs, autant pour les économies développées, émergentes, pour que celles pauvres. Nous réaffirmons qu'aux questions telles que l'éradication de la pauvreté, les droits de l'homme et la tolérance, l'accès à une éducation de qualité sans discrimination envers les garçons et les filles, l'emploi décent pour tous, la préservation de la nature et de la biodiversité devraient être accordées une priorité spéciale sur l'agenda des Nations Unies pour le développement au cours des années à venir. La coopération intersectorielle est aussi une question clé. C'est pourquoi les partenaires internationaux, la communauté des donateurs, y compris le secteur privé et la société civile, devraient travailler main dans la main avec l'ONU et les gouvernements afin de mobiliser les ressources nécessaires et les cibler pour des projets concrets, axés sur les résultats ainsi que des investissements dans ces domaines vitaux. Je voudrais aussi aborder les problèmes de la migration et de la dynamique de la population. Les Nations Unies ont reconnu à plusieurs reprises que la migration peut être bénéfique autant pour le développement des pays d'origine que pour les pays de destination, lorsque la coopération internationale est renforcée et des politiques adaptées sont mises en place. C'est certainement le cas de la République de Moldova, où la migration a contribué à la stabilité macroéconomique au cours des dernières années. En même temps, nous sommes dans une phase de changement considérable susceptible d'influencer notre paradigme démographique, économique, social et de sécurité de la population. Sans doute, investir dans le capital humain est essentiellement une porte de sortie de la volatilité démographique et une condition indispensable pour la prospérité du pays, tout en assurant le respect des droits de l'homme. C'est de cette manière que nous visons à diminuer l'interdépendance entre le développement et le flux de la migration et de créer un environnement favorable au développement communautaire, y compris de petites et moyennes entreprises, à l'aide financière directe du budget de l'État. Cependant, je voudrais attirer votre attention sur les exemples positifs apportés par le partenariat pour la mobilité entre la République de Moldova et l'Union européenne. Cette initiative a renforcé la capacité du gouvernement de formuler et mettre en œuvre des politiques de migration, trouver des priorités communes avec l'UE et développer des initiatives législatives innovatrices et stratégiques fondées sur les meilleures pratiques. Il est certain que nous devons continuer dans cet esprit, qui est le seul moyen de trouver des solutions mutuellement acceptables pour la migration régulière et circulaire dont pourront bénéficier nos citoyens en assurant la protection des droits de l'homme et garantissant la sécurité sociale. Monsieur le Président, permettez-moi de mentionner une des plus importantes réalisations de notre auguste Assemblée, l'adoption du traité sur le commerce des armes, qui est devenu possible après plusieurs années de débats et négociations intenses sur la réglementation du commerce mondial des armes. La République de Moldova a signé le TCA et nous espérons que l'entrée en vigueur rapide du traité rendra plus transparent et plus légitime le commerce mondial des armes. Le TCA pourrait être un grand pas en avant pour maîtriser la prolifération et la circulation illicite des armes, surtout dans les zones vulnérables et celles qui ne respectent pas le régime constitutionnel des États souverains. En outre, le gouvernement collabore étroitement avec ses partenaires européens et internationaux, surtout avec l'Office fédéral pour l'économie et le contrôle des exportations de l'Allemagne et l'Organisation pour la sécurité et la coopération en Europe en vue de revoir et modifier la législation nationale sur le contrôle des exportations des biens à double usage afin d'adopter les meilleurs standards et expériences internationales dans ce domaine. Monsieur le Président, depuis qu'il est membre du Conseil des droits de l'homme, mon pays a achevé le premier cycle de l'examen périodique universel, qui est, à notre avis, un des meilleurs exercices pour surveiller et évaluer les résultats des institutions et mécanismes nationaux de protection des droits de l'homme. En même temps, nous avons convenu de prendre de nouveaux engagements pour faire face aux défis lors de la mise en œuvre des recommandations issues de l'EPU. La République de Moldova continue à plaider en faveur de l'examen de la situation des droits de l'homme par tous les pays et affirme qu'un Conseil des droits de l'homme robuste, non politique et impartial devrait exercer une autorité plus grande, surtout dans les cas de violation grave des droits de l'homme, et devrait également donner des orientations sur la mise en œuvre des meilleures pratiques et standards dans ce domaine. Mon gouvernement a l'honneur d'annoncer la tenue du 4e séminaire des pays francophones au commencement de la prochaine année à Chisinau, notre capitale, en vue d'examiner les résultats et de tirer des enseignements du premier cycle de l'EPU. Nous espérons que les conclusions de cette conférence pourraient contribuer à l'avancement, au renforcement et l'amélioration de l'EPU en tant que mécanisme unique de l'examen des pratiques en matière des droits de l'homme de tous les États membres de l'EF. Mr. President, the Republic of Moldova is pursuing an intense and comprehensive program of reform, political, economic, institutional, legislative, demographic, judicial, and more. We are firmly committed to building a state based on the rule of law, good governance, transparency, and accountability. Through these difficult efforts, we become a stronger nation and a better partner internationally, and we must keep pushing ahead. In this connection, we are proud to acknowledge that the government has embarked on a new course of technological modernization to enable direct public access to government services. Our aim is to make all such government services available electronically to all citizens by 2020 at any time from anywhere, using modern communication technologies and devices such as computers, mobile phones, and interactive payment offices. This kind of system will ensure real transparency in the relationship between citizens and public officials, combat corruption, and reduce unnecessary bureaucracy. The Republic of Moldova is among the leaders in this field, and our efforts have already yielded real benefits to our citizens with the implementation of the electronic catalog for public services, the mobile digital signature, the government electronic payment gateway, and many more. The ambitious reform agenda of the government and its foreign policy alike are both directed towards the fulfillment of the strategic objective of our country, the European integration. At this stage, we have concluded the negotiations of the association agreement with the EU, as well as of its component part, the deep and comprehensive free trade agreement, and the initialing of the text is going to take place at the Eastern Partnership Summit in Vilnius during upcoming November. All these actions, the political association with the EU, the economic approximation, and the perspective of the visa-free travel for our citizens are bringing us closer to our final goal, the EU integration, and are opening new perspectives for political and economic cooperation in the region. Mr. President, every year my delegation brings to the attention of this Assembly the issue of the protracted conflict in the Transnistrian region, which is affecting my country ever since independence. As a nation who values national consolidation and unity, this conflict is a constant challenge which undermines our development efforts. The political settlement of the conflict and the reintegration of the country is our strategic priority. It envisages uniting the population from the both banks of the Dniester River around shared goals and providing them with a better future. It also means removing one of the most fundamental challenges to our national security, economic development, and social cohesion. Ultimately, resolving the Transnistrian conflict means guaranteeing secure national borders and opening a new perspective of stability and fruitful bilateral and equitable relations with our neighbors and international partners. Peace and dialogue are fundamental prerequisites for a political solution to any conflict. Let me emphasize that there are more than 2 decades of peace in the region, and we will spare no effort to preserve it further. Moldova is fully committed to dialogue through all available channels. But in order to achieve the desired outcome, we strongly need trust inside the resolution process and genuine engagement and commitment from outside. We advocate for the continuation of the confidence-building measures, activities which have been taking place since 2007 with the support of the UNDP and the European Union, aiming at bridging the gaps between all the stakeholders from the both banks, involving local authorities, business communities, and the civil society. The vision of the government of the Republic of Moldova for a final solution of the conflict, which I will delineate further on, is unambiguous and inclusive. First, the comprehensive and viable solution must be based on the respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country. We are open for a reasonable compromise on a special status of the region within the Republic of Moldova, which would provide the population from the left bank with a comfortable and guaranteed level of self-governance in various areas of public life. There should be a single constitutional, economic and defense space within internationally recognized borders of Moldova. At the same time, the Republic of Moldova should remain a functional state which continues to advance on its European path and makes every effort to allow the population and the business communities from the both banks to equally benefit from our extensive partnership with the European Union and hopefully within the European Union. On the conflict resolution matter, we will continue with a renewed impetus to seek for solutions in order to ensure the freedom of movement, improve transportation links and new and real opportunities for businesses on the both banks of Dniester. We will also double our efforts to convince our partners to start talks on political and security issues, including on the future status of the region within the recognized border of the Republic of Moldova. Moreover, we will seek to intensify law enforcement interaction, preserve stability in the security zone, and reaffirm our stance for the need to transform the current peacekeeping mechanism into an international civilian mission. Strengthening the respect for human rights is of utmost importance to us. The report of the UN High-Level Advisor for Human Rights in the Transnistrian region of the Republic of Moldova, Mr. Thomas Hammarberg, offers a good roadmap for joint activities in this regard. I would additionally like to reiterate our long-standing and unwavering call to finalize the withdrawal of the Russian military forces and ammunition from the territory of the Republic of Moldova in accordance with relevant international commitments. Concluding this chapter, I would like to express my government's conviction that the future of the region is brighter if we join our efforts to build a stronger and unified country, open to Europe where it naturally belongs, open to diversity, tolerance, economic and market opportunities. We are optimistic that we can achieve it because there is no better scope we could embrace for the well-being of our people and the consolidation of our nation. Mr. President, the Republic of Moldova places peace and real constructive dialogue above any political goals and ambitions. We follow with great concern the continuing violence in the Middle East and abhor the loss of so many lives and future resulting perhaps in an irremediable maiming of the consciousness of a whole generation, not only in the conflict zones but worldwide. The refugee crisis in Syria magnifies the woes of war. Hundreds of thousands of people have been displaced as they try to save their lives and find peace. My own country has offered protection to a number of Syrian refugees and recognized the significant burden that Syria's neighbors and other receiving countries, many in Europe, face as they seek to alleviate the Syrian refugees' suffering and offer them a better chance for survival and affirmation of their basic human rights. It is time for all sides to take a step back, find a peaceful solution, and build a future for their people rather than pursue fleeting, treacherous, and so often deadly political goals. In concluding, Mr. President, I would like to express the hope that during the current session, the members of this Assembly will succeed in reaching valuable decisions on topic issues such as sustainable development, peace and security, human rights, and many others. My delegation is willing and open to make its contribution in a collaborative and constructive way. Thank you.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I wish to thank the Prime Minister of the Republic of Moldova for the statement just made and request protocol to escort His Excellency.